我达摩须梭哈，我南无曼哲须利，南无梭须利，南无我南无须梭哈，我南无。我们就是耶那，耶就那这里就那那，将就把多那的告诉去，那里就业这个从那个做了边界上个主把修，就当这个就那来，将就把多那的告诉去，那就是这那是做了边界上个主把修。当这个就拿来讲究满足那的感受些，那个军业给别做那个做了边界上给做吧说，是那个就是变多张，只让那些你的天把的上面心中没得欲望，也说给那心那是吧说。不如让那边的老头的呀那呀。
就是那种希望那些死了的处理的情况，对吧？我那是也知道，就到底真的话呢，是个人情况下的，我们这个就叫那情况，真的情况的，我大家我们不仅我们把心我呢，一个弟弟的那个弟弟情况的呢，给我的第一就是我拼过的给人，对吧？解决对吧？这个钱你帮助我来心情的，想法不一个是没关系的。
Please adjust your sitting posture according to 7 meditative postures of Vairochana. I think all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers not just once, but for numberless times. They are as kind as my mothers in this life. Even though all kind mothers and sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering. However, due to engaging wrongly in offensive adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience even a moment of happiness, but suffering. In my mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers and sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mothers and sentient beings were to have happiness and the causes of happiness, that is virtue. May all kind mothers and sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. I will cause all kind mothers and sentient beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Или вот на тебе банды на тебе за очень волос видимо тебе что таро ты на тему то чуть то да вышел от тебя чего не мама сидит на
Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mothers and sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if if the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings were free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as physical pain, sickness, and problems caused by 4 elements. May the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will free the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
링거리는 미팅시가 비트면 너도 사랑 지금 저 다비셔 되는 신이 뭐라뭐라 이 신이는 무슨 무슨 거지.
How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class discordant with a conflicting virtue, such as mental suffering, fear, and coarse and subtle discursive thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, or free the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
여기 굉장히 만드는지 뭐가 지어서 마징이 뭐 타라다 되는 점 지지도 다비셔 되는 신이 뭐라뭐라 신이가 무슨 거지.
How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as coarse and subtle negative speech, such as telling lies. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will free the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디 동안에 굉장히 만드는지 무슨 이 셔도 그러면 되게 좀 타라다는 점은 또 다비셔 되는 신이 뭐라뭐라 신이가 무슨 거지.
How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. I'll free the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
이제 이제 내가 능력이 좀 뭐가 되나 좀 이렇게 더 다비셔 되는 신이 뭐라뭐라 신이가 무슨 거지.
How nice it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and the causes of suffering, that is non-virtue. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. I will free all mother sentient beings from suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
동아리나 굉장히 만드는지 뭐든 해서 동아리 무슨하고
Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, but I do not have the abilities to do so now. Then who has the abilities? Only those who have achieved perfectly complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
이제 통지기는 소식보다도 샤오는 세고자가 되니 왕기가 다해지고요. 그런데 너무 맞지 있죠. 그래서 이만 모르세 지금 되는 이제 왕기가 다해지고 되지는 도저히 거기 쓰고 같이 주서 뜻을 가지고 민족의 세체스.
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind. The aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These bodhicitta transform into a perfectly complete mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, or phenomena lack of inherent existence. These bodhicitta transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
풍보다는 이렇게 깊게 어느 모두가 시체도
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. That I exist, neither intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I am empty of inherent existence.
이제 뭔지 쉬는 것이 무슨 기zo 사람이 스포츠도 그냥 있어도 기대면서다 당보가는 보이세 무시는 것은 뭐지 대상에서 시비가서 대상에서 제가 대신 선제도 대원적 대신 중다 눈에다 좀 뒤치도니 사태리가 통세야 뭐좀 주도이나 대상에서 뒤에 계좌뒤에 사실이 빠진 않을 수 없는
As I always say, it's very important to conjoin any virtue that we do through our three doors with the practice of six perfections. Thus, to conjoin these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma with the practice of six perfections, the first one is generosity. The nature of generosity is an intention of giving. So spending 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma is to achieve the happiness and to purify the sufferings of sentient beings.
That is constant, but it was some machine. And there's always a chief because I didn't have any jingle, but with my job, you not any jingle. So you won't be money. And there's always a chief. And there's always a chief because it's 3.9.
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal negativities so that they do not manifest during these 2 hours.
That's a very what I'm saying, saving was some machine. And there's always a chief because they say that the gang thinking by the top and the situation. And there's always a chief because this is a question.
Next is patience. The nature of patience is an undisturbed mind. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will patiently accepting any physical or mental hardships that occur.
What did you think you would have? You are doing some person, was in the machine. And there's always a chief go out of team to the somewhere. There's always a chief because of whether the question is.
Next is joyous effort. Joyous effort is a mind that takes delight in virtue. I will take delight in the virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma.
I wanted to say, give me what the name of the something was one machine. And there's always a chief because say the not of the money or the Pamando. And the issue of the same but the city to get to Waina. And there's always a chief because that there's something to bring on this.
Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a mind that single-pointedly focuses on any virtuous object. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on the Dharma, I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtuous activities and not get distracted by distractions and discursive thoughts.
That should have wanted to go there. Should have also one machine. And there's always a chief because it's that. What the Shijimola by Yabu shit to what Chumaina. Yes, I'm going to make it better. You're putting anything.
The last one is wisdom. Wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will try my best to understand correctly and unmistakenly the words and meanings of the teaching that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on.
What did you hear? So you're 20 days on each of what about being to the Dutch and not to be teaching. So you
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this purpose, I'm going to receive the commentary explanations on Lam Rim and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Yeah. You was found the data. That she was to stop what she wanted and associating with Chibatis. But that direction work. You know, did such the other question.
Indeed, this issue.
也希望新的上班的年龄层的服务呢，还是会觉得是吧？
你谈给你的印记的考验那的让我成功的，
说句切的考的是
说年少，means 啥的，是的，功的
说句第四是切的
3年半。When you apply that, furthermore, if the mental activity is always like, yeah, furthermore, if the mental activity, furthermore, when the activity, wait, define the interface from CT. Wait, sorry, furthermore, yeah, oh, okay, yeah. 希望他那叔叔你们两希望新的啥吧对了，
希望新的上班的年龄层的服务呢是多少？这里多少？我给你们。
Yeah, sorry. So just I couldn't find as a starting point. So this paragraph talks about how to apply respective antidotes to subtle and coarse laxity.
准备的说，他讲到希望新的上班的年龄层的服务呢，在申请证到的情况下面，到希望新的上班是呢，希望他们给希望是吧？希望他们，但希望他们的年龄层的服务呢，你那申请证到的不结果呢，不结果呢，等到结果是吧？申请证到的全部进来，还是他的意思是吧？定义是我们告诉，他讲到希望，对，他叫是吧？当年龄层的服务呢，申请证到的。目前公布的，它的是一个好国外情况，是吧？我的这个下来就好国外情况，是吧？我们一起说。
On the text it says, furthermore, if the mental laxity is only slight and does not occur more than once in a while, tighten the mind's apprehension as you meditate. So this happens when your vigilance detects or aware of the mental laxity. So if the mental laxity is only slight, so the meaning of this mental laxity is only slight, referred to subtle laxity. So if the mental laxity is only slight and does not occur more than once in a while, then what you should do is you should tighten your mind's way of apprehension.
那第一就是我们希望突破到是特别希望的话了，对吧？希望突破到样样，因为呢，如果是突破英国电话呢，对你生活对吧？有的呢，那他讲的把科学的把创新是吧？目前的把定义是把创新的，创新的对面目，对希望马上把它把创新开始，是吧？
创新的，
创新的，创新的把那个希望对能够继续把。跟这个把创建的，创建的希望上班呢，上车的不必然的保护也是也是。
However, when dense laxity recurs repeatedly, so dense laxity refers to coarse laxity. So when coarse laxity or dense laxity recurs repeatedly, suspend the meditation. So what you should do is you should pause your meditations or stop your meditations. Then apply the antidotes as appropriate. So after applying antidotes as appropriate to remove the laxity, in this context is forced laxity. So after you remove the forced laxity, then you continue your meditation.
那个的国别讲了呀，是唐老师民国没少的，也民国没少的，现在民国我特别那么希望是什么呢？哎，对，你模样的。没的，你也说是哪一层嘛？这个呀，我们是这是当情嘛，这个也是到底讲的，我不是要上班，我就希望上头考虑业务的呢。他跟他讲了，我就希望你把这学习结果的话，那等你结果了，然后是慢慢不来的，你们也是吧？没的，你们也是等的话，成本的话，那我不了，就是把牙去，不去呢，说什么当呢？对，这个呀是。 就是现在你不管东西就是把上的话，你把上的升级当下的解决，没什么多，你升级当下的解决呢，你也解决吧，大家不能话，明白了。他们不能说对你规划起价比多，
当下是第四车当下
当下的对吧？
And continue to meditate once the laxity has been cleared away. And if the focal object becomes unclear, and the mind takes on an aspect, slight or dense, of something like darkness, pick up the characteristics of lights. Characteristics of lights, or sometimes is translated as signs of lights, sign, S-I-G-N. So characteristics of lights, such as the butter lamp, fire, and sunshine, as an antidote to that. So if you familiarize yourself with them again and again, a great limpidity of mind will emerge. So in case, as when we meditate, and if laxity, whether it is a slight or dense, in other words, coarse or subtle. So whenever laxity arises in our mind, then our mind becomes unclear, and the mind, as if the thickness has fallen onto the mind. So, or the mind has, or the mind takes on the aspects of being in darkness. So when this happens, then you should think about signs of light, or characteristics of light, such as the lights of butter lamp, fire, and sunshine. So in order to remove darkness, or think about the white lights. So after thinking about this, then it removes the mind from the darkness, and then a limpidity of mind will arise.
So 当我是希望的也就把上大的东西他们的可能我们得到的些吧结果多，我是对知道我的希望都挺多，希望然后些我觉得等我这辈子那可能某种程度多，把有可能某多对，现在不懂我是被小为呢，我们的俺们搞不就为呢，后来被如果更可能码头吧，敲上的希望哪怕的我是那啥，希望哪怕的。
木对吧？
我这头啊，他搞得搞不这个，会听着啊，你搞得搞不的去马上差不多，我是喜欢的，
对那马桶，
我这个马桶，别拿不回，你把别是听着啊，那等于对的，他喜欢的话了，他喜欢的话了，真的他你把他别这个可不行。
This talks about applying antidotes to laxity. So as we mentioned just now, when we talk about laxity can be is of twofold, slight or dense. In other words, subtle or laxity. So, for example, when a coarse laxity arises, then it's very difficult for us to see the objects of observations. It is like snow mountain is obscured by clouds. That you do not see the snow mountain at all. So when coarse laxity arises, then one becomes very difficult to see the objects of observation.
那你这个可能什么不的，你养是被上了当然是这个被，说你把这一来敲嘛对吧？呢，他的地址长下来我说，那长下来，但呢，他慢慢越老师把的，越老师把的，那一千嘛多了话，18年，你把马上把它对吧？不上当我的时候，
我那应该说，
上呀头啊，喜欢你喜欢的话马上把它，你喜欢的去，
我会上了，
我会当啊，那我会，那搞不知道把上当的，我知道上当，那命呢知道把带起来是吧？我没当然听过的，没当然是被人我就是没看当的，
听下来了，我们得唱下来，没到，
但我是喜欢这里就是不是当然喇嘛来结尾的，你进不进唱下我？你进不进唱下的？我搞不到这些培养不到，那在全部你到的时候，把这些家全部培养不，你里面的被谁说把上当的，你现在把路把钱，你不动到那些的把赔吧，是看你看，是往一些都是的，比如我就就是我教的，肯定是要6回的，这6回，那地方马上把的要我最近的要买什么的。
新闻报的上了，
我的你不马上把他那叫我做花钱的，我唱花钱的，这家业都不对，是看了吧？不是 家庭部自己供养部，你把上头也是到每的那高部的现代，是头也是。
情況都我哋呢個啦，生物都會咁。
生物都不了。
那
生物都的本质上叫没听之间，我也要买的时候。
So when a tense laxity or coarse laxity arises, then and arises again and again. If we try the antidotes to remove it, but it doesn't, is not successful in eliminating such laxity. So in order to eliminate such laxity, then what we should do is to pause our meditations. Then we go to a place, to a vast space, to look around, or we look at white lights, for example, or look at the light, from light of butter lamp or fire. So by our eye physically seeing the fires, seeing the lights, and then in our mind we think about those bright lights, and then by thinking in this way, it eliminates the darkness of our mind, darkness in our mind.
我当时希望是必须的，那我是的，那我就希望当不起啊，那你个我是吧？那我是在看待，是我的我这把，他比过你是多数据有了把谁判断我对吧？如果我是得小故事多吧的也是，他以为我去了怕，他查手机的票据了对吧？我一手上，我就是我也了，可能是想多啊，可能。那个可能看到说在这段查了继续说的话，那看到新闻的的，然后也怕严了，我看到，谁的怕严了，另外的这个出毛不来瞧的话，是我的谁怕什么怕严了，
出来，
然后不了毛不来这，反正我的这个那个东西，你知道，我的马上我的话，我是喜欢的训练我的，怕谁怕严。
但是情況呢啲人亦未必啲未識話，未通話係嘛？
我們識講話說，你啦，嗰個我是真了嘅話，
檢查吧，
是查的了嘅話，學的時候呢，是檢查的了嘅話，那嗰個時候呢，是我學起來也嗰個了嘅話，
當查吧，他應吧，他
因為是嗰個的因為是的我說，我比你的會去，我還是一個嘛的話，我有學這些。
Then the next point talks about how to eliminate excitement. So this paragraph talks about how to eliminate excitement. So when it comes to excitement, the mind runs after forms, sounds, and other objects owing to attachment. So as we mentioned before, excitement belongs to the category of attachment, or is part of attachment. So because of these, then the mind runs after forms, sounds, and other objects. And those forms, sounds, and other objects are attractive or beautiful to you. So the mind runs after beautiful or attractive forms, sounds, and other objects due to attachment. So when we talk about previously, when we talk about laxity and we talk about excitement, so laxity arises when we withdraw our mind, or when we draw our mind in too much. If we draw our mind in too much, laxity arises. And then when laxity arises, we do not see our objects clearly, or objects of observation clearly. And when excitement arises because we tighten our mind too much. So if we tighten our mind too much or too tight, then our mind starts to distract outwardly, or it scatters outwardly. And the object that causes distractions are those beautiful objects or attractive objects, such as beautiful forms, sounds, and etc.
对吧？他刚才我说胳膊小的，我没搞了呗，那谁行我的，这牛说的，这牛说的，对吧？我这牛说的，谁行不了？你这个行不了？我这个说着，真的，这面部、顺这部，谁行不了说吧？对，三下叔叔的。sapro pe so na ji pe chang chang na ga wo sa sa wa so da mo da li go da na so go pa se wa da ya so so pe 사정을 때 세신보다 변화보다 이후부터 방법으로我是从我那个就把谁注意个是那个个不是强的东西，对吧？所以我是强势讲究的吧，所以我的女儿的强势讲究的吧，不一定的，我不是我的我是都是什么当的，我以后不去，他是不什么当，那我是我把的我是现在有一个做的，现在我就主要的希望的我把的效果，我把经过考虑的效果的时候，我这个他工作的我接了什么什么不要的吧，是什么希望的。电子工把这里话，都我接好多都什么的接触了，把这叫我的我把的就是我教的盲目教的养生要是接入，那盲目就说啥，我这个快调的做的了嘛。如果你养生要是教的盲目教的，就是我教的盲目用过，
还是做你青蛙当
是吧？
个嘛的
我是头发盲目流过去的，很多的大多的我接的，就是什么的，知道。我的话，我把这吃的不是现在，那都是把这做的修养嘛，常常的嘛，大不了一点不留个，你的留个嘛，是吧？我是工作中的外界的，我知道，或者也就是我写的留个嘛，我不留个嘛，但是我不晓得特别就是我的养生，不来的我不，说不来的我就都出来到了呗，不当头的可能，上当头的强制的嘛，是忙起来的嘛，我把强身上留个。那帝王的现在习惯是吧？
情归你看你的样样累有了哇，
那个习惯给就没得呀，结果我是没办法，什么办法不了。
没错。Yeah, so when we meditate on this when we meditate, then our mind scatters outward to beautiful objects or attractive phenomena, for example, pleasant sound, delicious food, beautiful form, and a place which is very beautiful, and you like going there. So your mind scatters to those attractive or beautiful objects due to attachment. So laxity and excitement are listed as the main obstacles to achieving shamatha or achieving karma abiding. So even though other afflictions such as hatred, pride, and jealousy, they are obstacles to achieving karma abiding as well. However, they are not the main one. So why they are not the main listed as the main obstacles is because they only come once a while, and they do not last for a long time, as compared to laxity and excitement. So laxity and excitement, they come very often, and they will last for a long time. So because of this reason, laxity and excitement are listed as the two main obstacles to achieving. So, so for that, you should attend to something disenchanting, force for the mind to withdraw inward, However, as soon as the excitement has subsided because of that, rest in equipoise. The essence of the middle way says, pacify excitement by attending, for instance, to impermanence. So we talk about excitement being one's mind scattering outwards, right? That is excitement. Our mind get distracted and then scattering outwards. So in order to counteract or apply antidotes to this scattering outwards of the mind, then we need to apply the antidotes of withdrawing the mind inward or withdrawing the mind inwardly is the antidotes. So we pause the meditations, then we draw our mind inwardly by thinking about impermanence, bodhicitta, the meaning of emptiness, and we can even think about the faults of the distraction, faults of a distracted mind. For example, faults such as unable to attain, because of this, I'm unable to achieve concentration. And because of this, whatever roots of virtue that I collect or that I do through my three doors, with my three doors, it will not be a good quality one. So you think about those of a distracted mind. So basically, you think about disenchanting topics or disenchanting things that causes your mind to withdraw inward.
我给大刚才我说，我把修找把的对我弄是吧？那我把他了是，我把修找把的就是我，就是我的就把那人情我还得回事是吧？是我还得了去，明白？我把他了说是没不了的，我把修找把就是我的就把呢，那人是我把还得回事，这里边我是就是我回事。那么这我把这个的用回去了，是吧？
我的你另外那啲认识我哋两个人，两个人是参下的，
参下的，是吧？这参下的，看到我是就是我也是吧？就是那就是的我说别，我把这个的移动往了大地方是吧？有些时候的怕得了怕西马过去，也怕西马过去是吧？移动往的了，怕我那么一点是不是吧？我的是怕西马过去，你是上当的，这谁的是都不认识。写的是都不认识，这写的那个没把这打下去，给他写过来也是过来，哇，我这里写不到看到，这写是贵啊，那看到把一个他说是冷静，不把他认为的，两个说这个被写的给老师嘛，说给他这个被一种，另外一个这个上学当然嘛也是过来，另外一个就是说，另外一个就是怕上当然嘛也是，可能就是了，我把它去经过了的，因为有些人嘛是讲是特别抽象的，是吧？这个我也是吧，就是以后不去了，是吧？就是我感觉这个就不把这两个只怕大白，什么大白呢？那肯定你啊，哎呀，我不然的了，我的是个朋友，我的谁也觉得是我吧，就是改一个，但是个改啥个别，谁也老是不理呢，是吧？只是把什么朋友把的是，我把那个干了，有些我还是给吧。
So when intense or prolonged excitement occurs, collecting the mind inward and placing it every time it scatters is not effective. It is more effective to let go of the meditation for a while and meditate on something disenchanting. So when excitement, a strong excitement arises and it lasts for a long time, so what we should do is we pause our meditations. Then we must think about disenchantment. We must think about disenchantment. So because when we talk about excitement causes the mind to scatter to attractive objects or pleasant objects, right? So in order to counteract this, then one must think about the ugliness of those objects. Such as we think about the impermanence and impermanence of the object and etc. So by thinking so, it draws our mind inward. And then when it draws our mind inward, then we continue to tie our mind to the objects of observation. Then we continue the meditation this way. So when our mind is excited or become excited, then we shouldn't think about anything that we desire, such as clothes that you wanted to buy, or food that you wish to eat. So you shouldn't think about those objects because it will only make your excitement to come again and again. thinking those attractive objects or the objects that you wish for. So because they are the causes that make your mind distracted.
Possible the other song for war. Possible that very so say very and so dog was a career to some person by your marriage. So passing in different ways.
Possible.
People so that you what you take on that. They need to people. The same how to shoot you at you. Say, global that. Small bio with the she will be on the group of judge from the yes, group of one. What social company to go but leave this for that the getting much more and the brand that check was the question of movement on his it.
So, however, when the excitement is not that strong, you should collect the distracted mind inward and tie it to the object. Compendium of the Perfection says, so Lama Tsongkhapa quoted Compendium of the Perfection says, whenever your mind becomes excited, avert these by means of shamatha. And then with an excited mind, you should not tend to inspiring or delightful objects, for it cause the mind to be distracted outward. So, to support this point, then Lama Tsongkhapa quoted Compendium of the Perfections by saying that when excitement arises, you should not think about those delightful objects or the objects that you long for, that you are longing. So because they are the causes of excitement.
I know what to do that. She get you juniors as a good she get you juniors or anybody. Anybody she want to go but you actually because she will or two she had one. She want to go back to Judy and I think she want to was that one. Get some simple machine. The simple machine. That the machine. She did need to more. She want to go back to the tower to the machine.
So next we are going to talk about identifying the causes that give rise to laxity and excitement. And these causes is of twofold: common causes, both laxity and excitement, and individual causes of laxity that give rise to laxity, and individual causes that give rise to excitement.
Actually, on we go Maso, Sage Chairman, Manji chatted the chairman of the Joan of the Zen. He money by name. I shall have much of the one. He can shut up much of a name. You saw the she got a ganda. She gave me a few. This she looked in it, she wanted to go a chill. Yes, I can't move to see what there was. You look in the ganda, she wanted to go a chill. Yes.
So the common causes of both laxity and excitement are not guarding one's sensors, not eating the right amount, not putting effort into practice without sleeping during the first and last parts of the night, and lacking vigilance. So lacking vigilance, in other words, is you do not check your mind. You do not check your mind. So you lack vigilance, then you do not check your mind. So in dependence on these four causes, it gives rise to both laxity and excitement.
Oh dear. I can't do so many. Don't want me. So go my door. I can't. So I'm not your door. Don't want to pay. I won't do so. Can't. So pay. The Sula Sabata, so that so that or reject that so on the Mandua. I can't so pay. You want Mandua. So below work at work. So on the Mandua car is the book at work. That's so on the Mandua by the time she didn't know his work. She could live it. I was a say Hajape Sache on the door, Sage Chairman Simba. This is Jimmy was near to sit on my yanni. Was she get kind
Oh, no. Yeah,
to say you are. I was not pitch what you were doing. The man nearly to sit on my new restaurant. Mamma Niba. Not chatting with a manua, Joala Mazua. They were not teaching my bar. And the Maina, she wanted to give a things to go. But that chat out as 2 million sage church, Maziba. Say such a on the world. Say such a chetana at the delivery. And Nuna will. Nuna, global.
Nungdana to buy na
Nuna punch a given. To be city. See, Newton, but that patient, our word. Secure profession, she didn't get the other. same not on a small level.
Mm.
Same root on a global level. Global, same not on a global level, the total city of war. City of war.
Chitana and the
She would never say, what does it which on million? You would have she have the needs level. What the level is that? That's so certain, but yes. That's not a chat them in a manure, Joa and Mazema. Not chat them in a manure, Joa and Mazema. Then she didn't believe a neighbor. Sharachi will say, my name is Tata Young Line, just Tata Chukuri for.
Missy Jitsuti Lavia.
But this is another 1 year, long as you order the Lucas already.
Oh,
Lucas also a shaman. Lucas also said 1 year, that's what Naji, you were not cheating. What not Nadia to do. And you know what you wasn't in the action. They are one of the winning. She's in Havasi. That the dinner cannot get a lot of conduct. It was so much of the that is not, that is not so much charge it was. So much charge.
so when we talk about these 4 common causes of both laxity and excitement, the first one is not guarding one's door, right? So one sense door. So there are 5 sense doors, and these sense doors, so we should stop our sense doors from becoming distracted or overpowered by those objects such as form, sound, smell, taste, and object of touch. So if we do not guard our sense doors, 5 sense doors, then we are unable to stop it from becoming distracted or becoming overpowered by those so becoming distracted by those 5 objects: form, sound, smell, taste, object of touch. So if we do not guard our sense doors, then laxity or excitement will arise. So that is the first cause. And the second one is not eating the right amount. So not eating the right amount means that we shouldn't eat too much, nor too few as well. So too much, if we eat too much, then it will, laxity will arises. If we eat too much, laxity will arises. Then our body becomes heavy right after we eat too much. Our body becomes heavy and then laxity will arise. It can easily arise. And if we eat too little, excitement can easily arise. So an example is, because if we eat too little, then we become hungry. When we become hungry, then we think about foods, delicious foods, and etc. Right? So that's why when you eat too little, excitement can easily arise. And if we eat too much, laxity can easily arise. And then not putting effort into practice without sleeping during the first and last parts of the night. So it depends on the country. So in general, when we talk about the time to sleep, proper time or the good time to sleep is around 9 or 10 p.m. Then we wake up at around 5 a.m., for example. So because when we wake up at 5 p.m., then our mind is very clear, right? So by identifying these causes is so that we can eliminate these common causes in order to have a clear mind to do meditations. So lacking vigilance is basically if we do not check our mind, then it's also one of the common causes to laxity and excitement.
我的讲到我的下跌的面呢，是去年我们做了，做的也是我，真的结果也是，真的结了，可能我年了就大大地方的话，这真的都有买，是吧？年了这大大没买呢，那就下跌没了，这些都有买，那就下跌没了，这买就买呢，那现在就多么了，对吧？也都有了，是吧？我这个就中到了，年了这些大大年过的。 이만 때문에 차트면 좀 그래서 맞지 되고 먼저 차트면 맞지 봐야 신이 두 말이 이게
So not putting effort into practice without sleeping during the first and last parts of the night. So why we need to sleep at a proper time or a suitable time so that we can put effort into practice. So if we do not sleep during the we do not sleep during the proper time or at the suitable time, then we are unable to put effort in our practice.
我的是，他学习嘛，对吧？他学习嘛，我告诉我是学习被，他告诉被，就是我学习的被，他跟我是学习的，谁也不去被叔叔先，被我几十年的为呢，你发现了，他学习的样式是结果嘛的时候，是跟我是那个了，他叔叔电视的，他叔叔年龄要高过他的，你叔叔年龄要大，他叔叔我他第一次被选拔的，是搞的工的啊，他第一次嘛稍微说的了，我的样，叔叔第一次。跟的人要到那有路啊，是这东西碰到。你这个这样子吸引的，基本也是是个吸引的。
Concept is simply concept.
我在深坑住啊，深坑的比些马丢啊的，是吧？比些马丢啊的，他发现你看，比些刚刚的的，你看那些这些说碰的了，比些马丢的马丢的丢的，这样子吸引的结果起来，结果这样子结果起来，是吧？我觉得吸引的我说刚刚了，对，是的，结果要不马去的啥呢？马去吸引的。지금 마지막이나 내한테 말했을 거다. 뭐 기대 자로 마지막에 내한테 말해 시와다 간다. 아 무슨 레바이나 하바고 봐. 내가 안디 그래서 뭐라. 어디 삼성을 치고 다 소속에 내세가 다시 그 제고 다시 이제 소속이 내려가. 와. 그래서 고들라. 그래서 tempo 까마가 그래서 소속 tempo 어디 어디 하고 내거든. 그거 그래서 제고요. 그러니까 디지털 파는 디지야 세포 디지털 원하는 분들은 어서 채우다.
So lacking vigilance. So lacking vigilance means that we need to check our mind moderately. So checking our mind moderately, and that moderate depend. We have to gauge the moderations based on our experience. For example, if your mind is able to remain stable, free of laxity and excitement for 5 minutes, so during these 5 minutes, then there is no need to to apply vigilance to check your mind. So vigilance, we should apply vigilance, but we should apply vigilance moderately. So it means that we shouldn't apply vigilance too many times, too often, or too little as well. So if within these 5 minutes, if our mind is stable, then there is no need to apply the vigilance to check our mind. And however, if like 5 minutes or 6 or 7 or 8 minutes, for example, then your mind becomes start to lose the stability, then you must apply vigilance to check your mind, whether laxity or excitement has arisen or not. So we shouldn't apply vigilance too little time as well, or too little as well. So, or not checking at all with vigilance, because if we do not apply vigilance at all, or if we apply vigilance too few times, then when laxity or excitement arises, we are unable to detect it. We are unable to aware of its arising. So when like for example, when our objects of observation starts becoming not so clear anymore, or when we feel like our our minds start to become a bit like tired or unease, for example, then that is the time that we must apply vigilance.
那是行就对的，但那个是行的题目，有点行过了哇，行的题目，那是行我觉得哇，那行觉得我是你学的，谁没把人就把那个，谁没把人就把了，就把了，是吧？谁没把人就把了，还这样子吧，对吧？其他差嘛那吧，现在电脑吧，现在都的确的吧，谁没了没搞不的。你把那么对吧？不搞啊，那就说的我是行，越多行希望解决出。
So the first paragraph talks about the 4 common causes of both laxity and excitement, right? And the second paragraph talks about the causes of laxity. So the causes of laxity are great sleepiness, the mind being excessively loose in its hold on the object. In other words, your mind being excessively loose in the apprehensions of the object. So not balancing shamatha and special insight, but relying on shamatha too much, the mind remaining as though in darkness, and not taking joy in directing the mind toward the object. So these are the causes of laxity. Yeah, so when the first cause is great sleepiness, right? So when we are very sleepy, then we must rid of this sleepiness. Otherwise, it is not advised. We shouldn't continue our meditations if great sleepiness arises and we are unable to get rid of it. So, for example, when we recite our prayers, if we feel very sleepy, then we also don't know what we are reciting, right? Or to which part we are reciting. So we must get rid of this great sleepiness, and then only we continue our meditations. So, and the second cause is the mind being excessively loose in its hold on the object. So, with mindfulness, mindfulness ties our mind to the objects of observation, right? So, however, if the mind's apprehensions of the object become too loose, if it becomes too loose, then our mind will not be able to stay on the object of observations anymore. So, and these become cause of laxity. So, because of this condition, because of these, mind is unable to stay on the object of observations. Then the mind the mind will not see the objects of observations anymore, or to see the objects clearly, as if the object is fading away, or object is sitting further from you, that you do not see the objects clearly.
왜 강사질의 신의 세진님 받으마 나는 답답해 뭐를 배수로 어디 세휴이나 가리나 스마도 맞디지 이거 충분히 도로와
생랑도 생랑도
이게 그거는 좋아 이 전에 그리고 저기 그 신호도 이거 내기 필요다 주제다 이것을 아케라 들리기 그 상황 처리 몇 번이나 네 야 저도 얘기 있습니다 이거 잡으러 간다 이거 잡으러 와
not balancing shamatha and special insight, but relying on shamatha too much. The meaning of this sentence is, if I say we should think about when we meditate, then we should think about the benefits of calm abiding, and we should think about the qualities calm abiding or concentrations. So if we do not think about benefits or qualities of calm abiding or concentrations at all, or in other words, if we do not analyze or examine the qualities or benefits of calm abiding at all, then I say we only then our mind will be withdrawn too much inwardly. If we do not think about all this, then our mind will be withdrawn too much inward, because we only throw our mind inwards, and we do not think about all this, or do not do analyze or examine. Then we will drawing our mind in too much. Because of this excessive withdrawal of the mind for a long time, then laxity will arise. So we should think about the benefits and qualities of it in order to generate some delightful, in order to generate the a joyful thoughts or delightful thoughts in the practice of concentration.
어디 앉아서 쌤 이거 보고 스피드와 신에게 들어와 근데 다시 공을 주시래 그러니까 쌤은 이거 보고 다음에 되게 내봐이나 나도 이렇게 뭐 내봐이나 그래서 마음에 왜다 이 위에서다 나와 까불어서 받아서 세다 세밤이 있다니 봐 남이 봤으면 이렇게 벌써 그렇다 술 받는 못 되고 그랬지
담모미다 되지라
세다 근데 지금 봐 나 소바 세브야로서 베비트 리페사 자체고 그냥 뭐 비비미 통데 세리 그냥 이거 해서 세리 그냥 이거 해서
생야 상무당 거로 미바 지오를 돼 그참 마음에 왜 된죠
마음에 여서 근데가 지금
내가 지오로
아가 지금 그래서 왜 가보 그런 거죠 왜 가보 이 마주 보이나 속에 참 대사기 봐 그거 그냥 보이나 니파 그냥 좀 보지가 봐 있다니 그래서 재밌다고 세리 그냥 이거 해서 세 근데 가르치고서 신은 미국 보고는 시스템 거와 어디봐 상고와 상에 다시 제고와 어디서나 다시 제고라 다 나와가 보라서 무슨 말을 하죠 나와가 볼 로게라서 봐도 미국에서라서 봐도 일단 들어봐도 다 근데 무슨 미다오디 미다오디 원시 되는 거서 저 저거 간다 이때라 미리 상고 이些링고와 미국 어디 소자 한가서 미국도 상고 간다 나 미국도 뭐 보고가 되게 되어이나 시원하냐 볼래 보러 볼래
저 투보데
뭐 시원 볼래 보러 이거 다
데자 발레로
뭐 시원 빨래서는 다 이거 배서 보러 가자는 거야
Yeah, and the mind remaining as though in darkness. So in order to counteract this mind remaining as though in darkness, we need to look at the lights of Butter Lamb, sunlight sun, and as mentioned before. So we should also look at those lights, sun, Butter Lamb, and etc. Or we think about bright lights. So why we need to physically look at, one of the benefits of physically look at those lights or the light lamp and etc. So that this sense consciousness can induce mental consciousness. So this eye consciousness looking at those bright lights and induce the brightness in our mind in order to eliminate suchness, the mind as if in darkness. So such as we can even go to a place, vast mountain, for example, and you can see very far. So by seeing this then you can eliminate the darkness aspect in your mind. And bright lights, for example, you can also visualize bright lights in your meditations in order to eliminate this as well. So either physically look at it or visualize, and also visualizing the bright lights in your meditations. So if we do not eliminate this darkness aspect in our mind, then our reality will become dense. So dense, in other words, will become coarse. So when it becomes coarse, then we will no longer see our object clearly.
Some people are capable of doing it. Getting in the Bombay, the cinema, but truly, but truly, we take on the young, because one, the teaching of what, only a picture. This is that the lead is that one day about the lead they will teach it Sanshania, so that as Shinigia, you get a Shinego be peerless what the did teach some time. What the is on the let's say the young teacher Pakuyanchi. No, Habuchi or Habuchi, you can the art trunching Mupala Magawata, and you do Martin Mupala Magawata, Nigo. What? The rich with it, that the Nigal Pasonga. So support Town Shibuchina Magaji or what? Yeah, you did so, yeah. Chema to a one year, go at legal. Give me back. But that's only young part.
Me but tema tuba.
No, me back. So, so we don't. Shineko Mibalapa, sitting in Tema to us in Gurwa, Mipala table from Magawasa. Sitting in Magawatela, Rakanda, support Tanchina, Dilla, one day Mibata, sitting in Ya dig it. Here that you deal as a big jackable, some of them are to me. No one day about children. That is super. Telephone, you put telepath, needs a telepath, so the Jawadi for the path. We are that Hashito. Let's Hashito. Muntin, Anjaba Telan, we have so you did here that support tranching the support of tranching or Nassim Snowda.
And not taking joy in directing the mind towards the object. So, in other words, is you do not wish to meditate or you do not wish to do concentration or to do meditations. So your wish, your wish becomes lesser in continuing your meditations. So this would happen because of not thinking about the benefits of abiding or concentration. So because of not thinking about this at all, then your wish in meditations become lesser. So when this happens, you should pause your meditations, and you should think about the benefits of achieving abiding. So by thinking so, then you get rid of this idea of not taking joy in directing the mind towards an object. So it could be due to when you're physically too tired. So when you're physically too tired, then your wish to continue the meditations is also lesser. So each point, then you should pause the meditations, relax, and then to take a rest. To take a rest, for example, then after the rest, then you continue the meditations.
Some of the Gubagan that she was by Judish, not Gubachi Judua, not Gubachi Judinga. Not Gubachi Julangazo, Joshi Chuas, Semi Bala, Chang, Madame. Sembala Kumbama Shibas. Nidulas of Anachi, same number you were shibas. Dirwa, that's what the Gubijuan.
The next paragraph talks about the causes of excitement. So the causes of excitement are said to be insufficient disenchantment, excessive tightness with respect to the focal object, unfamiliarity with effort, and being distracted by thoughts of family and the like.
That was the Joshi Chua, that Joshi never a Nigala challenge to work. Joshi never the Joshi Chundama. In the time like the living that they shall have a sope, the people person that you won't share with the same should do that. But Della Candapa, Shema over not the Shema the money Della Passim Majua, say it's all and Monipur over. What? Beach chamber. That Della Joshi Chun Machibaina, you don't want Della Masu Joshi. You can imagine by the go back to Taro Roja. Saying about Taro. 就是没那个把六多，就是那么就是做一个个把六也是，好像那个把六多，我带的个把几个也是，这个呢就是从那个把几个也是，是吧？那就是全部有为呢，这个那个把那个就是没那得六多吧，我不不我那当不的是吧？
So the first cause of excitement is said to be insufficient disenchantment, right? So insufficient disenchantment also can be understood as not having disenchantment or no disenchantment at all. So if not having sufficient disenchantment, then it is one of the cause of excitement. Don't mentions about not having disenchantment at all, then definitely it will become a cause of excitement. So when mind become excited and the mind runs after those beautiful objects or attractive phenomena, then we should generate disenchantment in relation to that beautiful objects or that pleasant object that we desire. So, or in other words, is we generate the disgust feeling in relation to that object and cause to make the mind not engaging in the object anymore. So we stop excitement in this way. So we stop excitement by generating discussions or this enchantment in relation to object that we desire. And then by doing so, it stops the mind from running after to the objects, running after the beautiful objects.
那你把还在被修全部东西呢？对我这边，领导被那阿玛定说的那些，那数据了的，那都被修全部了的，马定是，那阿玛定我都修啊，
阿玛定嘛，那你干嘛做？
干嘛做东西？我在领导修啊，那是修全部了的，领导我就讲的，那阿玛定我都那是修全部了的，那领导是这边是说不是可能是让这边。其实我们不当全部的那是也嘛全了的，你那是没办法，非常别，那把那那些人点嘛都不搞，那里我把那么去路呢，嘛讲路的大的，完全的看路那些，看路那些，你那是超过看的，那个家嘛去把那呢，大也不会，完全的看路那些，我第一当我是刚去的呢，是没学看的。是把修了嘛，大一点嘛，对不对？你那些人看到，他不能去嘛，对不对？那他这个我说，他养家路呢，他路那些，你查的不是我，这不当着了。
And next cause is excessive tightness with respect to the focal object. So focal object in other words is object of observation. So when our mind's apprehensions of the object become too tight. So if it's too tight or excessively tight, then it will be like when a great pain a great pain happens to our body and we are unable to stop pain. So when it happens, then what we normally would do is to find ways to stop this pain, right? Painkiller, for example. So if our mind becomes too tight, so just like this example, so if our mind becomes too tight, then our mind will not be able to stay on the objects anymore. And then our mind start to, scatters outward. So another example to describe this tightness of apprehensions is, so when you pour water into a cup, so when you pour just the right amount of water, the water will stay in the cup, right? So however, if you pour too much into the cup, then the water starts overflowing, right? So similarly, if your mind's apprehensions of the object becomes too tight, then your mind starts to stutters.
我就是他的你给人家的了解，他准备了恐怕马戏呢，他对我来说呢，说准备了恐怕马戏呢，对联络方的多些不吧，联络的方面我的多些不吧，那联络的方面我的多产的整个的就把音乐人看的，是吧？就把音乐人，就把那些多的嘛，这他被墙上那些不吧，我就是怎么来说呢？对对，我的把第一个。이 그거 뭐 보니까 그래. 근데 전발에 가서 전두비 대마서 내로 내보러 와. 내로 내보래. 레론 내 차는 아주 저기 되게 잘 거와. 이 레론 와도 그렇잖아. 대셔 많이 봐. 그만이 뭐 와도 그러고 그러면 좋아. 이게 그거는 얘기 했었다. 서든에 지와 같이 하고 해야지.
And next cause is unfamiliarity with effort. So unfamiliarity with effort means that we do not apply effort or do not cultivate the effort. This effort is the antidote to laziness, right? So if we do not cultivate effort, then laziness will arise and unconscientiousness will arise as well. So when unconsciousness arises, then then we will engage in many improper actions and etc. So when we do not cultivate effort, and many other afflictions will arise as well besides excitement. So excitement definitely will arise, and then besides excitement, anger will arise, pride will arise, and etc. So we must cultivate effort.
어디 이제 내들어 뽑아서 이제 나가 이거 누구도 네, 저도 뭐도 유한의 자격을 시험을 들어와. 이거 보이나 당간다. 수도 신이 공 가르치기는 그다. 이 불러서 봐 넘어서 봐. 수고다. 설라 현자 전에 다 근데 주도 뭐 중요한 뭐 시고로. 수 주도 좀 많이나 해소적이다. 라주게 이거 두바이나 다 같이 요거레스. 내가 뭐 처럼 시고로. 와. 들어서 봤을 때 간다. 소소게 뒤쪽에 현자 전에 내가다 뭐 시대와이나 다 주도 같이 요거레스. 침반다 와이나 맞아. 되게 샤고다. 소고 신이 고비가라. 신이 고비가라 신이 고시 칼라도 있어 신이 있어 뭐 나도 와이나 맞지 뭐. 신이 고강이라서 소고 내가 이제 아무리 참아는 내가 꼴도 제구에나 뭐 막 제바지 내가 갖고 그거는 내가 가르치고 나서 나도 내가 가르치고 그러고 그래서 참을 거 담고 뒤봐 이게 지금 앞에 내가 너무 많이 서자 한다. 그다 가서 나무기 내가 제고로 와. 이게 제고로 와. 제고로 와. 다들 제고서가 가서서 배신이 고거나 까봐 주장아 지기 제가 제고나 슬럽에 나비 대마 왜 있어? 나간다. 이거나. 그래도 와. 다 까마 수지지 쓰고나 다들 섭배 고시 칼라다가 소가 주세요. 고시 저만 나가 주세요. 이거 말했어요.
And being distracted by thoughts of family and the like. So this is very related to ordained person and related to a lay person as well. So for example, for a lay person, then in the context of cultivating become abiding, so they are free of lay the householders works, right? So they have lesser obstacles to the cultivations of come abiding. So as compared to a lay person, so lay person, they have householders work to attend to, they have their works and they have family to attend to. So however, if you want to cultivate come abiding, then if you do not settle those works or finish those works before you start your meditations, then it will come obstacles to your concentration. Like for example, while you're meditating, then your family member asks you to buy this food, to buy some veg, or to this food, and etc. So it will become an obstacle to your concentration. So, in order to do meditations or to cultivate concentrations at home, even at home, so what you should do is those work you finish first. So whatever houseworks or duties that you need to do, you finish those duties and works first. Then for dedicated hours, like for example, if you want to do concentration or meditation for 1 hour, so within this 1 hour, then you will be free of these duties and works. So you will not be distracted by those household works. Yeah, so those are the causes of excitement that we need to think about and beware of.
충분히 그 남에도요 말해서 좋아. 신기배 충분히 이제 동부시다. 그 참고 심지래는 그 설배 시공이 접어 마셔봐. 그 남에 당해요 말. 이 남에 당바이나 kinh nghiệm的 주인다 줘봐. 주인차로 그래서 와. 그 주인차로 진짜 이 남에 당해요. 그래서 간다 배 신기 참고 이나 배 대파 빠기 다시 좀 그래서 와. 내가 좀 맞지.
The yeah, the lower Marwari Lapishara. And the so. And next point, we talk about even if subtle laxity or excitement arises, then we need to cultivate vigilance as well. We need to apply vigilance, and we shouldn't ignore, even though the laxity or excitement is small.
소소 빙인지라 이놈의 샤식간에 다 신계 표목 알아서 다니면 되게 그치 그래 신계로와 신계 아무도 내가 시በ치 그래서 와 신계 처음에 간다 신계 리퍼치 제고 그래서 와 신계 리퍼치 처음에 되는 나서 티파 가고 그래서 와 그래서 와 뭐가 봐 놈이 다요 말았어 그거바이나 그거 다에서 이나 그 춘추지나 근데 제 신계 얘기는 그래요 그래서 와 그래야 뭐 대원도 그래요 그래서 와 내 춘추지를 때는 그저 대원도 그래야 누구야 이거 가고 그래서 와 이거 어떻게 아까와는 안다 뭐 비다고 저기요 와 뭐 비다고 지금 그 당분이 비시와다 그거지 내가 시서상이 나 춘추지 내버리는 그렇게 누구 노도시 이 방송 자원 시켜야 말했어 와 이래서 문제는 비다고 지
So therefore, you need through vigilance to know even the subtle aspects of laxity and excitement and completely stop them all. If you give up and think, I cut through subtle excitement, distractions, and the like in the beginning, but they were never terminated, so I will not cut through them any longer. Or if you think, yeah, so so even though the laxity or excitement is small or subtle, so we must apply vigilance. We must apply vigilance in order to detect, or to know about the rising of laxity or excitement. And then after knowing it, then we eliminate it. So if we think that although laxity or excitement is small one, so then it's fine letting it go without getting rid of it, your meditations will not be a good quality one. So even if some people think that, I have already get rid of subtle or small excitement or laxity in the beginning already. So I'll say I don't, but they're still around. So I would just leave it there. So if you think in this way, then this is also a proper thought. We should get rid of. We should get rid of.
그러면 지금 개발 추추도 레벨을 열어 추추도 레벨을 너무 가요 말해서 네 진정보 말해봐 해봐 진정보 해봐 추추도 레벨 너무 따지나 되게 실시로 그래서 그러와 이래 신기 하고 지내 가고 해서 어때 뭐요 이 못되고 해서 그와 그벌레 그거 추추도 레벨은 아니야 그 무대에 거 세르미 봐봐 같이 그와 추추도 레벨은 아빠도 10월 레벨은야 하저 그게 들어가나 뒤에 발려가지 세르미 봐 근데 앞에 추추들을 해서 10월에 추추 그거도 추추 제일 뭐 그때 무슨 뒤집어야 될 때인지 난다 나가지 뭐 말해서 봐 이것도 말해서 어디 내가 도서 제거해서 그거 이제 정말 등에 되게 적게는 못 쉬어도 되고 그 제가 정말 공부를 한다 등에 두 발라 뒤에 가다 등에 두 발, 누구에게 다시 없다. 그래서 또 그때 맞으면 다 그래서 수업을 찾아서 와, 내가 뭔지 뭐 찾아서 내가 간다. 등에 두 발라 게임스 파도 그야 신경을 쓰다 뭔지 뭐 찾아서 해서 와, 어디든 팀을 지거든. 제가 정말 그거 그 계속해 그래서 와. 이게 힘이 부담지. 지금도 그거 제단.我是的，问题我讲了，我等，那家人等，就想到生活的问题我讲了，没事，那个对了。
Yeah, so if you think that, oh, my laxity or excitement is a very weak, small one, or it doesn't last for a long time, it's only here's for a short while, and then you just ignore it. So if you ignore it, then it will become bigger and bigger. So we shouldn't ignore the arising of laxity or excitement, even though it is small or it doesn't last for a long time. So we shouldn't ignore them, and we should apply the vigilance to know about the arising and then to get rid of it. So by either, like for example, by either tightening our mind's apprehensions of the object, or loosening or relaxing our mind's apprehensions of the object. So we must apply antidotes, apply vigilance, and then apply the antidotes whichever is necessary. So if not, if we ignore it, then our laxity or excitement will become bigger, and then our concentration, we will not be able to achieve pure concentration or pure concentrations. So as mentioned on the text, that is because you depart from the methods to achieve concentration established by the Venerable Maitreya and others. So the Maitreya's instructions here is you depart from the methods to accomplish concentration. So it means that you stay outside of the methods, or in other words, is your way of doing meditation is not in accordance with the proper methods to accomplish concentration. So this should be eliminated. Those these causes, these unconducive conditions should be eliminated. So next point talks about to talk about not placing hope on concentrations with mere limpidity and stability, in which there is no intensity of clarity. Stability, yeah. So I repeat. So not placing hope on concentration with mere limpidity and stability, in which the intensity of clarity is absent. So it talks about, this paragraph talks about this. So in other words of saying this is, if you only has limpidity or stability and do not have the intensity of clarity, so you shouldn't think that such concentration is okay. Nature tang cha zam la ni di ding ni bi da.
thing is chili getting the conjunct with the card over that thing is actually getting catching much.
Yeah, therefore, summon your mind. So summon your mind also means to draw your mind in. Yeah, to draw your mind or to summon your mind from its wandering and excitement so that it is tied to the object within and seek stability. Yeah. So whenever we cultivate concentration must have these two features, these two features or these two qualities. And these two features are intensity of clarity in which the mind is very clear. And the second one is stability. So the stability in which the mind stays single-pointedly on the objects of observation. So these are the two features or two qualities. Repeat. The first one is intensity of clarity in which the mind is very clear. And the second one is stability in which the mind stays single-pointedly on the objects of observation. So the first feature is intensity of clarity. In other words, is intense clarity. So what it means is not only that our concentration must have clarity. The type of clarity that we must have is intense clarity. So intense clarity and also stability. So if our concentration has only stability and limpidity, then our concentrations will not become a good quality one.
This one do so you got almost totally seen it in the people at the checks. But for the good the teaching by now, this was the same now the shooting the war, or the good passing in the war, passing in the war. This said people are set on the champion to the same nature, the nature of which. So, the nature of a magic, nature is you feel like passing that you can show you what was nature is what react depending on people say is one of the she was looking at this thing such a matter damage. Such a matter damage was in the past. Look at that. Easy shooting was war. Such a was such a matter damage. That's such a matter damage. Each other such a matter damage that you could show you what any such a matter damage. Any someone you got a Tsongkhapa other things. But did a mother, Zitanjing rather DB, the Debachi, such a name maybe, Tancha, that image, eating a Chito Maris.
It's done in Madam.
Zitanjing rather than you are. Zitanjing rather but such a maybe, such a maybe, say Tombasa. Tombasala, the eating, Chito Maris, Maris, we did it.
So therefore, summon or draw your mind from its wandering and excitement. So wandering and excitement causes your mind scatters outward, right? Because of wandering and excitement, then your mind scatters outward. So you need to draw your mind inwards. So or summon your mind. So that it is tied to the object within and seek stability. So when your mind, whenever there is a stability, when your mind has this great stability in your concentration, then you must beware of laxity. Beware of laxity also, you must guard against the laxity as well. So you must be careful with laxity so that you can bring forth intense clarity. So as I mentioned just now, concentration must have these two features, intense clarity and stability. So whenever there is stability, then you must guard against laxity or beware of laxity, so that it will bring forth intense clarity. So accomplish faultless concentration by alternating between these two. Then do not trust a mere limpidity that lacks clarity together with intense apprehensions. So do not trust a mere limpidity that lacks clarity. So as I mentioned just now, one must have not only one must have clarity. The type of clarity one must have is intense clarity. So do not trust a mere limpidity only. Do not trust mere limpidity.
What is that one to do that? And Nimba Shingi the day is that one that kita shawazi kita disho wa ni ba shingi da dai tsina da chita shawa na kan pe ba esta de de na shwa wa
그나 쉽지写송 그와당가
우리
양나 참샤가
거의 다 이거
so so before I move on to next outline what to do while free from laxity and excitement. So do you have any question? Yeah, if you have any question, you can ask now. If you don't have any questions, then I will continue this outline.
Yeah, Kesila. I would like to ask one question. Yes. I just wonder, is it will be beneficial if right from the start of the meditation we visualize that we are meditate in the bright sunlight or the light, so that we can reduce the possibility of the cause and subtle laxity to arise. Thank you.
Ini nanti kasi simbang kasi di cuma gitu loh. Ini di simbang bapa tabu. Ini aku simbang bapa tabu ina. Di lezona ini aku mami nama tabu di sama tanggo loh. Ini aku kong kaya kala, kong beko, kong lah. Ini aku di ni mei di meba cene. Satu di sama tanggo ina. Ini yang simbang bapa di 마용해야 하다고 이제 가기를 했어. 이냥 카도 대표는 치와 요르베스. 그냥 고고라 카도데 삼당제. 이니 고고네 응원고 제약이 제도. 응원고 제약이 제도. 그냥 저 이메일 대 삼당와이나 대표는 치와 요나스.
예. 야, 그때 좀 주고요 말했어요. 그거는 내가 뭐 완전히 삼당와이나. 야, 그거 제를 내가 열어와. 그거 내가 열어와. 그래서 뭐 완전히 드리스도 나요. Asla dirit tamaina ya sifa ni ko marwa o jebe kala se woni ko de kiso ya fanye no de ga yoris
이 교배 왕
o de sinjelo de ga yoris
교배 왕기로
o 그 pe ko jebe ko 제가 darwa darwa 신이 마공을 darwa 신이 마공을 되게 나오서 비에 되게 먹고 살아 가서 그냥
그밖에
야 그거 시작이 내가 yoris 몸이 kala 그거 시작이 내가 yoris 몸이 kala 누가 지어도 내가 이랬어. 그래서 그때 고야를 가서 미파 쓰는 미파 보니 그 세파 남통에 그 미파 보니 딱히 봐서 아직 성당 들어와. 그것도 내가 성당 들어와. 왜 뒤에 담보 가서 도망을 수서 세파다. 이제 얘기가 누구 누구 나이 봐. 그 누구라고 미치리. 실내에서 미성당 나이 봐. 그 이제고 했어. 와. 나 좋아도 담보 고제한 데서 성당이야. Ita Santa da Gongene Jodi Yapo Capo da Nossa sempre seu chão de praia. Tu tá dando tempo pro.
Yeah, so at the beginning, then I would say if we straight away visualize or think about bright sunlight, for example, to reduce the possibility of the arising of this course, for example, the mind as it fall into the fall in the darkness, right? So I don't think this is quite appropriate as well, because you're saying that before you start the beginning of your meditations, and you think about the bright light. So if you think about this bright light at the beginning of your meditations, where there is no the aspect in your darkness aspect in your mind, then there is a danger that it will become a cause to your excitement. So the beginning, then you think about, if you were to think about this bright light where there is no such sources of such cause to be eliminated, then you think about it already, then you start your meditations, then there is a great danger that your meditations might be affected by these bright lights. So while you are meditating on the objects of meditations, then I'll say you start to get distracted by thinking about those bright lights. So there is a danger of this, but there is a danger that it might happen in that way. So we need to look at the time to apply such antidotes. So we must apply a correct antidote when the time is suitable. So when our mind as if is in the darkness, then there is the time to apply the direct antidotes, which is to think about or to look at the bright lights. To look at the bright lights. So what we should do at the beginning of the meditations is, in case if when we are about to do meditations, our mind is cannot come down, cannot come down our mind, then what we should do at the beginning of the meditations is to focus our mind on the breath by focusing on the inhalation and exhalation.
Okay, thank you. But usually, let's say one try to meditate in the very early morning, then normally the environment is a bit dark already. So would that give the reason for us to do the visualization like that?
你那是想要做小嘅交不地也冷者啲冷用火，你讲公然生，所以为那样啲冷公然生，你讲做人嗰個啦，咁夾嚟嗰個啦，你講做人啲冷温交不，你那是想啲咁位那什麼單位那，啲啲是想啲錢啊啲是不有那，連不有那，
这个对我是当我说。我们也弄的脑部呢，是当我说你不重要的，我说根据估计来生动的是吧？根据估计我说不重要，但这些我当不的生当，没办法呢，我说呀，说个你知道吧？我这里这些我用都没说当不了生当，根据估计没把钱，根据估计没把结果的，这是说的，现在没把我那些拿工资的业务的呢，那我假设生当的就个是，是吧？ 那我在生当地个，那我说个哪一个了？哪个人呢？莫没关系呢？是说我们节车的，或者对不对？以下接了我是生的，那是我们是在你或者那我可不有嘛是吧？不要嘛，比如说呢，我说的，我现在我就公务员呢，单位的公务员呢，我讲的你搞公的话，这个是一些公务身上，因为大部分说的，大家我们明天呢，那公务那些写了什么单？ 等你工地到现在美国不那些社会的我的呢，等你就是现在比我的少。
看到样啲新闻爸爸越美嘅tema there. So even though it's very early in the morning and the environment is still dark, then it still depends on whether your mind whether your mind is as if it's in the darkness or not, whether your mind as if is in the darkness or not. So when you focus your mind on the object of observation, for example, the common example is Buddha's body. So when we focus our mind on the Buddha's body, then if Buddha's body, if the image of the Buddha appears in our mind, and our mind is not as if in the darkness, then there is no need to apply these antidotes of visualizing or thinking about the bright lights. So because we are talking about mental consciousness, we are using our mental consciousness to meditate instead of using our sense consciousness. So if we were to use our sense consciousness to meditate, then the bright lights, the bright lights is necessary, right? So however, since we are using our mental consciousness to meditate, if our mind is not as if in the darkness, there is no need to apply this antidote.
Thank you. Thank you.
那个给自己跑起来的，等到那个干嘛的？你这去的地方，你票你上班的，是很多事是从那个地方去，不是你的，对，你把它不是，是很多事从那个地方。你把了最近的你都被留下的地方是，你不离那上班就不玩的，你的出去给你就是么个的，你是那个没有嘛，是吧？是很多事是从那个地方去，不多，是吧？你把了最近那边。 被年轻的地方去，年轻的地方去都没得。那这里基本上面呢，是那个不用的。你这个我们这样是吧？
So it's something for us to think to think about again and again the two features of qualities, the two features of concentration, which are the intense clarity in which the mind is very clear, and the stability in which mind single pointedly stays on the objects of observations. So these two features, intense clarity and stability, are very important. And if either one of these is absent, our concentration will not be pure. So we will not be able to achieve pure concentrations. So we must think about these two, or keep in our mind these two features of concentrations that must be present in our concentration.
I think also the demo also kasi ko ngo ni ko di ji ji shi sa ro kasi ni shi sa da yang de ji li it's a progress ro对呀会有的时候是一个跟你把大学是这里接着我说你不光我第一觉得运气那个心里过的那心里过的开心我是不超过的心里过的我就说公给你自己的卡这里还不会啊可能心里不带
양쪽이 띵인 징을
뭐 띵인心里过有了心里过不得 从我的要不学吧呢，那说是公给你个了，说公的面前干这种，别好不是，我你给全部抢，是吧？那你把我觉得给全部抢了的，那给全部就是你没得那的好，我记得，你觉得我面子，我那个心里过，我把心里过个人把的，那我觉得个了，说公面前的干这，那都别好过了，要不学吧呢，你给全部是吧？
Yeah, so next we're going to talk about 5 faults and 8 types of applications, or 8 factors of 8 factors of applications, or 8 types of applications. And this we have talk about briefly before. So in coming class, and we are going to talk about it again. Then we will have a clear understanding regarding these 5 faults and 8 types of applications, or 8 applications. So besides that, we are going to talk about 9 mental abidings, or 9 levels of mental abidings. So, and this is also a very important point because you will be able to, then you will know your level of concentrations. Where is your level of concentrations? So when we learn about these 9 levels of mental abidings, then you will know your level of concentrations. So I will stop here. So please read before coming class. Yes, thank you. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue that we accumulated through these Dharma lessons, may be the complete course. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to sentient beings' happiness. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long with excellent health condition, and may all their holy wishes and enlightened activities be spread in all directions and accomplished instantaneously. In particular, we dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabshe Lama Sopa Rinpoche, with great kindness. And may the holy wishes of Rinpoche be accomplished instantaneously, and may the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned and continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the opportunity to receive the precious teachings from you again, Rinpoche. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue to the world peace, and may excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflict, disaster, and natural disaster may they be free from suffering and their negativities be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue to those who help others, such as doctors and nurses, and those who help others financially. So may they have long life, health, and may their life be filled with excellent happiness and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. Tawa Rinpoche ma ke pa na ke kyu ji ke ba nya ma pe pa yang ko de kon do pe wa shu. Tawa Rinpoche ma ke pa na ke kyu ji ke ba nya ma pe pa yang ko de kon do pe wa shu. 一切顺度就别让七件事事看见点对跟强那被莫真正要做了。这所现对路路说，你看给变的马路吧，看的就会上边一些诺个定中面真正要做了，说话的说都些路路说。 下面开始也让走路上调换人生就把这让相信也该有马就被天天被把就被给来做用手准备就天天过节，有的真正被话那那样秘书准备过家庭准备结束爸妈说话的，你把就准备过节不给为电脑毛就多话一天了去都准备这边没如果希望是这一类吧，那就是该做起了当给谁能给都给了过节都每天被养多少辈从给上都接都些说我。 微信港的频道的话，马路中为你今日是往电视搞做，下辈新的活动，thank you。